Hello, podcast listeners. We are my Feminist Thoughts. We're working with headliners and we're just going to talk a bit about feminism, specifically the way media deals with feminism, so how women are presented in the media and how the media reacts to them. I'm Melanie.
I'm Fionn.
And I'm Theo.
Our listener discretion is advised. There might be cursing. We're very sorry.
I think first we should talk about how the media reacts to women. So an example of this would be Taylor Swift, big Taylor Swift fan. The media specifically has talked a lot about how Taylor Swift writes a lot of songs about how she only writes songs about her ex-boyfriends and her current boyfriends, but this is actually the case for all of songwriters, and nobody talks about Bruno Mars or Ed Sheeran, even though they're all talking about their current girlfriends or their partners or their ex-partners.
Yeah, artists that you write songs about their lives. How else, when you're dating someone, is going to be a relevant thing? You know what I mean?
They take inspiration, and I think as well, there's a common thing with everyone's oh, Taylor Swift is a serial dater, and I think she dates as many people as her male counterparts do, and gets so much, and it's really dumb.
Yeah, nobody's just gonna pull up and be like, you know what, Ed Sheeran, if I hear him write one more song about his wife, I'm gonna lose it. I can't stand him. It's just so stupid.
It's also these men that are writing these articles being Taylor Swift, stop writing about your exes, get over them. And it's but these are written by men, you know what I mean? And then it implants into their viewers' minds. They're oh yeah, Taylor Swift does write about
there's just something about Taylor Swift that annoys me.
Yeah. But it's they implant it into our heads from but when they don't write articles about Ed Sheeran writing, sorry Ed Sheeran,
I know this is not an Ed Sheeran hate
Slander.
podcast.
We love Ed Sheeran.
But you don't hear slander about news articles about Ed Sheeran or any male artist writing about their exes, but it's always the women, and then it's implanting into our heads. They'd be oh yeah, they do write a lot about their exes. And it's so does so many other people, you know?
I think as well, just how it's different from how it comes out of a woman's mouth. It's different. For example, Melanie, you are a big fan of Missy Elliott.
Her music, whenever it comes out, it was people were shocked. They were completely gobsmacked. They were oh my god, what? A woman rapping about sex life and men. It's no way. And I remember, well, I don't remember, I was not alive, but I've seen so many things of people being oh my god, Missy Elliott, it's all so vulgar, it's horrible. And then you've literally
what
got
disgraceful of a woman.
Exactly.
She needs to be wearing knee-long skirts and needs to have her hair flattened.
It's the same thing with when WAP came out. Everyone
WAP.
Everyone jumped on Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B, but literally Kanye, people like Kanye West and stuff write about the exact same thing and get zero
punishment.
Yeah, people are he's such a legend. And
yeah.
it's or maybe
he's idolized, you know what I mean? Yeah, he is idolized and be oh, he's such a cool person. He writes about his sex life. He's amazing. And then whenever it's Megan Thee Stallion that she going yeah, raise all my women who, love a good oh, she's a disgusting person. What a vile woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Missy Elliott, okay, not to come back to Missy Elliott, but we should always come back to Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
She paved the way for hip-hop and rap music. She paved the way. And then the same sort of people, for example, Biggie, who also paved the way for hip-hop and rap, he, continually, every single song is sitting there talking about women. And it's also in Missy's songs, a lot of them are her talking about herself and being yeah, women. And the fact that is so heavily criticized compared to the exact equivalent just from a man's mouth is just ridiculous.
I think as well, I think it really contributes to how women view themselves and what they can and can't talk about, and even what they can and can't, if we're talking about body image as well.
Body image, the way the paparazzi and tabloids and stuff will literally scrutinize women so intensely. Okay, just a wee example. Okay, Lana Del Rey. She was has always been this very thin, stereotypically, Okay, this is all in quotation marks because you guys can't see us, but stereotypically beautiful women, and then over like lockdown or something, she gained a little weight,
which is fine.
It's normal.
Yeah. And a lot of people did that.
A lot of people did, and I remember like even like a couple weeks ago, I kept seeing all these things being like, oh my God, Lana Del Rey got fat.
No, not even that. People on TikTok I still see, which I think TikTok is a big problem, but people be like, oh, what happened to Lana's style? And it's like, she wears the exact same things as she did. Yeah. She just got fatter.
Yeah. Like, people are just constantly scrutinizing women's bodies, and like, literally, what's with the pregnancy thing?
Yeah.
A woman eats a burrito and they're like, oh, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
She's pregnant.
And
it's
even
so weird.
Even not even just like body image, but also like when like divorces happen or whatever. For example, like obviously Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, and what do you call her? Jennifer Aniston. Obviously that wasn't a cool thing to do, but when Jennifer Aniston got cheated on by Brad Pitt, no one was like, Brad Pitt is a horrible person and he like should be held accountable. Everyone was just jumping on Angelina Jolie, calling her like the other woman or whatever, like calling her like his mistress or whatever. It's just weird.
Yeah, like people just constantly attacked Angelina in that situation. It's like, or maybe
it was like it was her fault, not as if there was another person in the situation.
Yeah,
it was like she needs to be held accountable, guys. She's an asshole. Look how she treated Jennifer. It was like, look how Brad Pitt, he was the one in a relationship with Jennifer Aniston.
Like married to her now.
Yeah.
I love how we keep talking about like celebrities and like, look at this.
I think it's a relevant thing.
Yeah, it is relevant. It definitely is.
Can I also talk about Amanda Bynes?
Go for it.
One of my favorite actors in the whole wide world. Amanda Bynes is such an incredible actor during the 2000s. You know, she was in so many big films like Easy A, She's the Man, my favorite, and Hairspray. But every time I bring her up, it's either, oh, I don't know who she is, which, I mean, yeah, that's fine.
It's not fine.
Yeah. Or it's, oh, the druggie. You know, people don't know her nowadays as the amazing actor that she is. She's not a druggie anymore. She's completely clean.
Yeah.
She's doing so much better mentally. But the reason that she has turned out like the way she has struggled with mental health so much, as well as body image and everything, because of these tabloids from such a young age, because she was like maybe like 14 whenever she came into the media, and it was constantly all these news articles saying like, Amanda Bynes is really ugly. Amanda Bynes, you know, they constantly like compared her to these other girls that she was like,
I think humiliated is a very good word to use, because that's literally what it was. Like if someone came up to you and was like, you're really ugly, you'd obviously be like, oh, right, well, that's
and
really
she like struggled with like an eating disorder very much because of these tabloids. You know what I mean? And if it wasn't for those, she would probably be a lot better than what she was. You know what I mean?
Like,
and it's even like now she's doing so much better mentally. She's being her true self. She's ignoring all these tabloids, but yet she still gets criticized.
I think that
even though she's doing so much better, it's like, let the woman live.
I think the 2000s era was a big time for tabloids, like with like Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton and like
Amanda Bynes.
Just like women,
and it was always putting them against each other as well.
Whenever Lindsay Lohan,
like, obviously I'm not saying that there wasn't heavy like drug use and stuff in those social circles of the 2000 like stars, but the thing is, in the 2000s and also still now, all of these women were having like drug scandals and stuff. And it was like a huge deal. Like, it was like, oh my God, how dare they? Like, this is crazy stuff. But like, I don't know, I've never heard of 2000s male stars, like Disney Channel stars, having, like, can you name a single one?
And I think it's a lot to do with just how women are perceived as like they're supposed to be specific ways, and the rules just don't apply the same for men.
Yeah, like they're supposed to be these petite small women with curvy waists by the age of 16 with like beautiful long strands, and then whenever they don't turn out that way, then the tabloids, you know, they keep hitting on them and saying, lose weight, change your hair, and then that's obviously going to create a bunch of mental health problems for them, and then they turn to drugs, and you wonder why people end up that way.
Yeah. There's also the fact that, not to point, but there's also the fact that like the second that a woman's like kind of opinionated and a bit like politically active and, you know, just states that like maybe we shouldn't be like, I don't know, sexist, suddenly it's like, you know, she's so annoying, she like never shuts up, she's like so radical,
she's such a bitch.
Like it's so,
even in the dating industry, whenever you're like, oh, I'm a feminist, you're like on a date with a man,
oh, feminazi,
she hates men, she's like one of those types of girls, and it's like, no, feminism isn't about like just women's rights,
and there's so much
white women.
Yeah, there's so much misinformation about feminism, and just how, because, and that is, I think, a lot because of the media, because people just present like feminists as these people who like hate men and are like, they never like go outside and they're just like scary and evil, and they're just like, a lot of people
just want equality.
Yeah,
that's all we want. We don't want to raise women above any other sex or gender. It's about equality for all sexes and genders, no matter what race or religious reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just as well about how, I think in the tabloids especially, just about whenever, what Melanie said about how when women are opinionated, or when women have more than one thought that is like, I like men, or like whatever, they get like very much scrutinized for it, especially when I guess like when people are doing like on sets, or like whenever famous people are on sets, or whenever they're doing music videos, they're like, and then they want something, or like they are opinionated about something, a lot of people are like, you're so bossy, but like that does not apply for men. Like, for example, I think it might have been Tom Cruise, it was like a big Hollywood actor during COVID, people weren't wearing their masks or whatever on set, and then people were like, and he shouted at people, because obviously during that time that wasn't an okay thing to do or whatever. But if a woman did the same thing, or if like a female director did the same thing, I know that no one would be like, oh, like she's such an amazing person for doing that. Like, people would be like, you could have done that softer, or like you could have not shouted, like that was horrible.
There's also actually, okay, I don't want to claim ownership for this little statement. Theo said the other day, men don't get called bossy.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard a man be called bossy?
You're so authoritative, like you take such a leadership role, and like I've never heard of a woman be like, someone be like, if she's like doing something, or like she's heading a team, and she's like wants like, I want this to be done, whatever, she's just being like headstrong or something, anyone being like, you know what, you're so authoritative. I'm sure that's happened, but just it doesn't happen as much, I guess.
Like it's the second a woman is in a leadership role, or she's like taking control, she's bossy, she's rude, and she's like, you know,
she needs to be
a control freak, like that kind of thing. And those are such negative words. Like, any word to describe a woman in a leadership role is almost always a negative word. But then when you look at men or like the male counterparts of those words, it's always like authoritative, commanding, and like it's always these words that are like, wow,
you're such a boss, like, for doing that.
yeah. It's just, they're always have good connotations as opposed to,
it's horrible for young people, especially like younger girls, like growing up with this, but having, and we are also, I guess, subjects of this, but like and products, I guess, but it's like the world being like, oh, you're supposed to look this way, you're supposed to act this way, and because they do it, they literally, the only way that they can really do this now, because obviously we're not in like the Middle Ages, so no one can be like, you have to do this, but it's like the only way they can do this is by putting down like powerful like women who like people look up to.
Yeah.
And when you're a young kid, and you see like, you know, someone that you thought was like powerful and like cool being called bossy and like rude and just like controlling, it's, as a young kid, like, you're like, oh, well, I don't want to be those things.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like the people, like, not coming back to Taylor Swift, but like there was a time, and I am a victim of this, but everyone hated Taylor Swift, like in primary school, and now I think a lot of people are big fans personally. But
like I used to be told by like people in primary school, like, don't like Taylor, you shouldn't support Taylor Swift. She's a horrible person. She's done this to her
herself
exes.
to be the victim.
And it'd be like, she's done this, she's done that, and it was never do you guys like You Belong With Me? Because that's a really good song.
I love that song.
We should appreciate this song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't because people genuinely had like a problem with her. It was because these newspapers and these websites were all being like, don't support her. She's an awful person. Look at this. And it wasn't celebrating her amazingness. It was more putting her down. It's even like, I was going to go back to the Bossy point and how it kind of like, women can literally be doing their job and standing up for themselves, and then it could be, oh, you're bossy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like a woman can be like, oh, can I have...
Yeah, even
like,
if men, if women acted the way men do in terms of like, oh, like I'm spending all this money and like, look at my big massive car. Like if women did the same thing, it would be perceived totally differently to how it is with men.
Just on that point, I remember when 7 Rings came out by Ariana Grande, where she was talking about how rich she is. People were outraged.
She's so privileged.
I saw whole articles being like, how dare she?
yeah.
I saw someone say it was classist of her. And I was like, what? Sorry, what?
Not as if she has worked for that money.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, who's ever is editing this,
How
Louisa,
women were perceived.
strong women.
strong women.
Yes. On the topic of strong women, here's a little segue. Encanto. Let's talk about it. Disney.
Let's talk about Bruno. Sorry.
Okay. We do talk about Bruno.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Obviously, a lot of the characters were very big and very popular with children, but a especially popular character that Disney especially didn't think was going to be popular was Louisa.
Louisa, if for those of our listeners that have not watched the movie, Louisa is the older sister in the family, and her superpower is that she is super, super, super strong, right? Now, in the making of this character, the makers of Encanto had to fight Disney. Like, they had to. Disney wanted to make her, like, super thin and petite and little, like all the rest of the Disney princesses. And the makers of Encanto finally convinced Disney to make her, and she's like
muscular.
very strong, very muscular. She's a big woman.
Visibly muscular.
Yeah.
Visibly muscular,
Because
right?
she is very strong.
That's her
And
superpower.
strong women are muscular.
It makes no sense for her to be petite. But anyways, so they made her very, very muscular, and Disney thought to themselves, oh, there's no way a small child is going to watch this movie and see a strong woman and think, God, I want a toy of her. So guess what Disney did? They did not make enough toys
Of poor little Louisa.
And it turns out a lot of the kids who watched it were like, oh, we love Louisa because she's like a strong figure. And obviously, obviously that makes a lot of sense, because if you see a strong woman, you're going to be like, oh, she's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
she like stands out from everyone. You know what I mean?
Because no one else was like that. And then all the parents were like, we don't have enough Disney. We don't have enough toys for our children. So you need to make more.
Disney, it's coming up to Christmas. My daughter wants a Louisa doll. Make it now. You know what I mean?
I think that's an important point as well. The fact that up until this point, I feel like there has been no real characters that had very skinny waists. Like, she was the only one, like, from my sources, 94% of princess movies or fairy tale mention physical appearance, which is absolutely insane to think about when you're thinking about how young children, and I think everyone watched these movies and took in all of these, like the fact that everyone had like little skinny waists and little skinny arms, but very big eyes, and we're like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to be.
I remember whenever Moana came out, and Moana is a slim woman, okay?
Yeah.
She is in no way, like, plus-sized at all, right? And I remember when she came out, and I remember people saying that Moana was, like, a thicker girl, and, like, oh my God, finally, like, big girl representation, and that is baffling.
Yeah.
Like, she was.
And it happens like every time. Like with Victoria's Secret, everyone was like, this is a plus size model, and she was like a size 8, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's good that like Disney aren't making these like really, really small, impossibly sized women. And yeah, but it's like this should have been happening from the start.
But
and
also,
like,
the thing with Moana is they didn't. Like, she was still like unrealistically small.
Yeah.
And the fact that she just wasn't, she was slightly muscular, and the fact that people saw that and said, oh, plus sized.
Yeah.
Kids are going to see that. Kids watching that movie are going to hear people saying, oh, this is a big girl. And they're going to watch that movie and go, oh, if that's a big girl, what am I?
Yeah.
Like that's so damaging to your brain.
And it was even like seeing these women and being like, oh, in order for me to fall in love and have this amazing fairy tale, I have to have Rapunzel's really, really skinny, small waist and big eyes.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's so unrealistic, especially the ages of so many Disney princesses. Like Snow White was literally 14 and had the perfect hourglass figure. And you're like, it's so unrealistic.
And on the topic of Disney, just how like villains are presented, like for example, like Ursula in The Little Mermaid.
Ursula is a big girl. Ursula is fat, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that like the villains are always the society's definition of like
ugly
and like unattainable, like not unattainable, unattractive. And like there's also the fact that villains often have white Western world features. Now Disney's getting a little bit more diverse. We know this a little bit. I'm not praising Disney here, you know, but a lot of the villains have like a hooked nose,
and they all like, if they, I mean, I'm not claiming to know everything about like Jewish culture or whatever, but all the people who like have hooked noses are like money hungry or like whatever.
Like the villains often have not stereotypically white features.
Yeah, or they're like not skinny or whatever, or they've been cast out by a man or whatever.
And it's just like it's perpetuating the complete beauty standards.
Yeah, it's like for children who grew up, like say they have like a bigger nose because you know it's them going, oh, but these villains have big noses. Am I a bad person? Oh,
or just even the whole thing of like big noses being portrayed as ugly is like
ridiculous
and very false. Yeah.
Also, on that point, it benefits companies.
Yeah.
Companies are going to sell you stuff that's going to make you think, oh, here, I don't look like a Disney princess. This will fix it.
Yeah. Oh, contour to make my nose thinner, or was that what they use?
Yeah, that is.
And like these crappy diet pills that are literally like, oh, if you have 5 of these pills and eat nothing else in the day, then this will make you have the perfect Rapunzel hourglass figure body. It's like,
which is so dangerous because people do buy them. And like, even like it used to be, I guess, like in the earlier times, it used to be like, if you buy this, a man will like think you're like beautiful or like you'll become desirable. But now obviously women have kind of been like unlearning that whole thing and being like, actually I don't care what men think as much.
People have been like appreciating their bodies for what they are, and even if you do have that like hourglass figure, it's not, those people don't go out and be like, look at my body, I have this body,
and even if they
should be jealous.
Even if they do, like, it's
the thing is like the fact that people started waking up, people started realizing, oh hey, maybe we should start doing stuff because we want to do it and not because companies are telling us it'll make us more desirable. The thing is, people started doing that, people started waking up, and then companies clicked on, and suddenly we got self-care.
like going back to the diet pills. It's like all these products that are like, oh, this, if you've got acne, that's awful, that's so ugly, even though you're a teenager with hormones and your body is meant to have acne. You know, if you have acne, here's this product that will get rid of all of it in the blink of an eye and make you look like you're 20 and gorgeous. And it's like, no.
And a model.
Yeah.
Like, especially when like celebrities promote, like Jennifer Aniston promoted Aveeno for like a long time, and like obviously no hate to Jennifer Aniston, but like sometimes if you use like type of lotion, it's not going to make you look like a beautiful woman
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
even all
fine.
these like influencers and celebrities that have had so much work done, which isn't bad, obviously, but it's the fact that they're promoting these products when they've had like work done to their bodies, and then they're promoting like, oh, get this product to have the perfect body. It's like, well, that's not how you achieve like your certain body type. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even perpetuating those things of like there is a specific body type you need to meet is, I think, very harmful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like one of the biggest things about that is the fact that companies kind of clicked on and they were like, oh, people don't want to just do this to appease standards, so they started to sell for self-care, and now they're like,
towards women as well.
Yeah, specifically towards women. They're like, companies just completely rebranded all of their, don't do this for men, do it for yourself. But at the end of the day, like, because at the end of the day, like, that's still just putting money in companies' pockets.
And it's the same product.
It is the same product. That's the thing. Yeah.
It's like razors. Like, what was your point on shaving products?
Oh yeah, Theo.
Oh yeah, and then like Gillette in like the early 1900s couldn't brand to men because they went off the war, and then they started to be like, oh, women who are beautiful don't have any, like, are shaved because they wanted to sell razors.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until that point where they wanted to sell their product that they made it like unattractive for women to have body hair.
And now like everyone's like,
now everyone shaves.
Yeah.
Everyone shaves. There's also the fact that because I was actually thought of this earlier. The way that now it's like if women don't shave, it's disgusting, right? Because of society. Thanks, Gillette. But women's razors are far more expensive than men's razors.
Yeah,
and they're not as good.
Yeah, they don't work as
worse
efficiently.
quality. They're always the little disposable packets.
Because they want you to buy more.
And they want you to buy more. And the thing is, they know you aren't going to stop buying them because we've been it's been drilled into our heads so much that we have to.
Wrong. Yeah,
it needs to be done.
Okay, so thank you so much for listening to our podcast.
I have been week talk.
Been Theo.
I'm Finn.
I'm Melanie.
And thank you for listening to my Feminist Thoughts.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.